Hello students, welcome to ACS Academy. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about the recent crisis unfolding in Mizoram related to the influx of refugees from the Myanmar side. So first of all, if you try to understand, this situation began to develop somewhere in the beginning of February 2021. We know that in the month of February in the year 2021, in the Myanmar, the military ruler have carried out a coup and they removed and toppled the civilian government. They agreed that the elections that were held in Myanmar was not conducted in a free and fair manner, and that is why military had to take control of the country as such. So after that also, military began to oppress and crush any kind of rebellion against military rule. Any kind of supporters who used to support civilian government, they were targeted and they began to be punished and killed as such. And this has created a refugee crisis where a lot of people fearing their life have begun to trickle into the territory of India as such. Now, after months of lull beyond the state border, recently we have again seen an uptick or upsurge in the number of refugees trying to enter India's border, largely in the state of Mizoram as such. And as per the recent government report, it is believed that somewhere about 4,000 refugees have crossed over from the Myanmar in the recent time. Now, if you try to understand the reason why Myanmarese people feel safe in the states such as Manipur and Mizoram is because they have ethnic ties, they have what you can call as ethnic relation with the people staying on the India side. And that is why people themselves, if you try to understand, they actually try to ensure that they are allowed to live in the state of Manipur. And after that, despite the limited resources that the state has, we have seen a tepid response from the center. That means the local government still believes that many times the refugees who are coming across from the border, they poses a kind of security threat, inherent security threat, and also they do not have enough resources in the villages of Manipur and Mizoram that they can sustain such a huge demand from the refugees as such. Now we try to understand that what has triggered the fresh inflow of people. Why suddenly we have seen an upsurge in the number of refugees coming from the Myanmar side. So we can see that there is a Chinland Defense Force that is operating in Myanmar, and then we have the Chin National Defense Force that is also operating in Myanmar. So both of these forces have been continuously fighting with each other. Continuously they are kind of, we can say, tussling with each other, and because of this the entire Myanmar has been engulfed by a civil war like situation. And because of this civil war like situation, what we are seeing that on one side you have Myanmar's military and now we have a lot of rebel groups as such, and because of this the intensity of fight in the recent time has increased, and that has resulted into huge number of civilian casualties, and that has increased the number of refugees coming from this side. Now India is the obvious choice because first of all, as we discussed, in the states of Manipur and Mizoram, you have the tribal group that resides, that those tribal groups share what you can call as ethnic linkages with the people of Myanmar. And also you can see almost 1643 kilometers of long border is shared between Myanmar and India, and that is why it makes them easier to cross. Also the reason is because if you try to understand, the border here is not properly fenced, is not properly secure. It is kind of porous border made up of dense forest, hills, and because of this it also is easier for these groups to trickle inside. Now before understanding what is the significance of this refugee crisis and how government of India is handling it, I would try to bring your attention to the fact that Legacy as Academy, we are going to launch soon our batches on 9th on 11th of August. That is going to be the weekday and weekend batches. We ensure that we have comprehensive coverage of all GS paper right from the start, GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. We believe in ensuring that students are guided throughout the preparation, and that is when the role of mentorship is something that we have to highlight. We ensure that students in the class do not go beyond a certain limit, and that is why we have policy of maximum 40 students per batch, so that the interaction between the faculties and students can be ensured to a maximum extent, and also students are able to freely ask and raise any kind of doubt, get it solved, and then go back home without any kind of doubt in the mind as such. We also have test series for both prelims and mains examination, and 360-degree coverage of the current affairs from variety of sources to ensure that students have good idea of both the static as well as current affairs based concept. If you want to know more detail about this program, you can give a call at the number displayed here, or you can also download our app, that is Legacy app, or you can click the link in the description box of this particular video. Now coming back to this particular video, if we try to look the refugee crisis, if we try to understand in Mizoram, though in the recent time we have seen increase in number of refugees trying to enter into India's side, but this is not a new problem. Actually, even before free movement regime was instituted between both countries, such kind of refugee problems Myanmar and Mizoram has to face because of the ethnic ties, as we have discussed. So for instance, in the 1968, one of the major decision was taken so that free movement regime can be instituted, and as per this regime, residents along both sides of the border, whether they are from Myanmar side or from the Mizoram sides, they were allowed to travel up to 40 kilometers inside of each other's territory. That means the Myanmarese people can come 40 kilometers inside India and vice versa as such. Then further in 2004, changes and amendments were made where the 40 kilometers of this what